Good morning, traders. Today is Tuesday, May 31st. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right. Well, I was out all last week, so my levels are a bit, I've got all this stuff marked here that I got to go in and clean up. But all in all, it looks like we broke out of the downtrend, clearly, and broke back up into balance. We had one balance area right here. We broke back up into that balance, immediately rotated to the opposite end, broke out above it, and got continuation. And then we just, in the overnight over the weekend, started to push our way back up into another balancing area that's above us. So that is bullish to see. But the first thing that catches my eye here today is the amount of excess that we have. We now have 1, 2, 3. We were not going to count yesterday. We'll just completely ignore yesterday's trade. But even if we did, we'd have a fourth. So that's, 3 days in a row or 4 days in a row of uptrend in the market. Often when the market creates a lot of excess, it has to balance off that excess. There's two ways it can do that. It can either pull price back down, looking for support, and balance it off using price, or it can use time. So it can create excess and then it can rotate sideways at a higher price and balance off the excess using time instead of price. So that's the first thing my mind is thinking about this morning is, does this market need to balance, or can we get continuation of the uptrend? Can the momentum that's in the market continue this week? All right, the market is open. We are opening inside of yesterday's range. We are inside of a spike, just barely, so that is bullish to see. So we're looking for support in this node of volume that ends down here around 41.22. You just call it the overnight low. So we're looking for support in here for continued chop up and down. If this area breaks, we'll monitor for continuation to the downside. As far as getting bullish this morning, to get me bullish, they got to get above yesterday's high, Friday's high at 41.58, and then find support above there. That would be bullish to me. Otherwise, I expect we're going to get some grind and some chop here. Bear with me for just 2 minutes. I'm going to go through and fix all these old levels and stuff like that. So the screen will be moving around like crazy, but I'm not going to be saying anything. All right, well, now that I've gone through and cleaned up the references from last week, we have left a lot of weakness behind on this move to the upside. So that is bearish to me, increasing the odds in my mind that the way the market will need to balance off this excess is using price. It'll probably need to pull down at least to 40, 45, looking for support at the top of that previous balance area. And the reason I say that is just because the way weak references work is they're like little tiny magnets that pull on the price. So the more of these things that you start to stack up, the more potent they become, the more powerful that pull becomes. So with this many weak references stacked up here, I would assume that at least the first of them needs to be repaired. That is also a leftover gap from Friday. So that also increases the odds of a need for repair. So if we break 41.08, I will be looking to backfill that gap down to 40.74. We're also now looking for resistance around this overnight low, and if not, at halfback for continuation lower. All right, so that is resistance at the overnight low. A little bit bearish to see. All right, good morning, Cyrus. Chris Yeet, welcome back. Annis is here. Caffeine, good to see you. Levi in the house, good morning. FRM, welcome back to you. Cyrus, how does the market profile address a half day like we had yesterday Should I just ignore it and consider the levels like an overnight? Exactly right. And that's not market profile theory. That's just like two-way auction theory. That, on a day like yesterday where the market's only open for a little bit, you're not going to have real market participants in there doing business. So the stuff that the market does is just short-term traders and bots kind of picking each other's pockets. So we completely ignore stuff that happens on those types of like holiday, half-day type of thing. So we're just looking at last week's data and then including that in the weekend overnight. All right, so we're testing the last little support we got here, around 41.09. If this breaks, I'm looking to head down and try to backfill the gap we left behind on Friday. Looking for support around 40.74. So if this level here breaks, looking to head down and backfill that gap. If we don't find support there at the high from Thursday, continuation down to repair the weak F period low at 40.45. Man, we are dancing right on this support. Again, if this breaks, we're looking to head lower to repair that gap. All right, well, I'm front running it a little bit here, calling for the bearish banner, but I do think we're heading lower. I don't think we have the buyers. Remember, there's two ways to balance off excess. You create this much excess to the upside. You can balance it off either by pulling back price or by spending time up at higher prices. This support right here breaking makes me think we need to repair with time. So I would assume that the balance area high is in play. Also, if we zoom out here and we look at the daily, we can see this was the shorter term downtrend that we had in the market. Breaking out of that is what gave us this excess. But where did it give us excess to? Immediately right to the longer term downtrend in the market. So just a further reason to think the market isn't ready for continuation to the upside today. It will probably need to balance off either by going sideways or by pulling back. Excess leads to balance. All right, so we got bad taper on the low, increasing the odds. We need more two-sided trade down here. So now we're looking for resistance, because as soon as the sellers pile on, it may be here at 14 or here up at like 19 or at the halfback at 23. As soon as they pile on, they can poke through that support on the way back down. Hello, Scooball, Rugsy, Giles, T-Bay, Chillin' with Madillin. Welcome, Chillin' with Madillin. J Trader, Pavel, Exotic. Good morning to you. Philip is here. The Shaw in the house. Anita, good morning to you. Johnny Be Good, what's up? Greg is here. Rev, Eldora, John, Chris B, and Blue Shirt in the house. Jack, good morning to you. Tom, can't hear. I hope you can hear by now. Boss Man. Overlord 3000, good morning to you. Xavier in the house. John Last, Biden, Yellen, and Powell might talk at 1 o'clock. Thank you for the heads up. Tyler Durden says Bitcoin is saved. Who saved Bitcoin? Oh, yeah, it's back above 30. Well done, Bitcoin. Still in a big old balancing area right here, right? Breaking out above these highs, coming back down and finding support would be even more bullish for continuation. But that's a good start. Breaking through that downtrend. So once again, bad taper on the low increases the odds. We need some more two-sided trade down here around the A period low. And since that is our support for the market, if we poke through it again, or if we keep poking at that support, we could break through. And we'd be looking to trade lower. David Glass, good morning to you. Nilesh, good morning. David Keene, welcome. Jeff, good to see you. Design Knob in the house. Lord Max says, why are only regular trading hour sessions important if markets are a 24-hour auction and mostly trading by bots and algos? It's a great question. The bots and algos one, I genuinely believe most of the bots and algos are specifically engineered to either trade regular trading hours or overnight. The two markets do function very differently from one another. I mean, obviously it's an auction process, but just the way they move. So yes, there are algorithms running all the time, but I think it's two different sets, running for regular trading hours and running for the overnight. And the reason that I distinguish the two is because often references that are created in the regular trading hours have to be repaired in the regular trading hours, right? It doesn't count if they're repaired in the overnight. So let's say, for example, on Friday we left behind these single prints in the L period, right? That increased the odds that the market needed to pull back down to backfill those single prints, right? So let's say the overnight came down, it backfilled them, and then we opened, we'll just pretend we opened a little bit higher than we did this morning. Let's say we opened up here. I would not think, okay, those are repaired now, we can get continuation higher. I would still see those as needing repair and be looking for the market to come down and test it, because it only really counts a specific reference if it's repaired in the regular trading hours. Can't tell you why it's like that, but that is the way it works. So imagine these buyers that keep buying these lows right here. What are they going to do once the market starts to break lower? Probably they're going to get squeezed out of those long trades. RK, good morning to you. Scott, you're back. Yep, I'm here. All right, well, with the tick starting to work their way back above the zero line, I remain bearish as long as we remain below the halfback. 41.24. Still looking for resistance and continuation lower. But if they can get back above that halfback, it's still just chop. And I was early on my bearish call. Tyler, crazy how the market caught a bid the moment you changed your banner. You're doing your part. I know, that's the worst. But I was just early. It happens. Jose, good morning. Jeff, does bad taper mean price is likely to revisit that area? Yes, it is. Bad taper is a sign that the two-way auction process didn't get to come to an end. So if you look up at the high of the day today, we have good taper. 5,000 contracts, then 4,000, 2,100. You can see they're slowly leveling off. Whereas down here we have 44, 46, 41, and then 500. So they didn't get to have a good end of the auction to the downside. And since this is our support, as I keep saying, the more we poke at it, the weaker and weaker it becomes. And once it breaks, boo! So for the bulls to take over, they got to get the market back above halfback here. Above 24. Lord Max, so the market is moved by real people doing rational decisions and not by algos to make the money off of real people who are doing rational decisions. Well, first off, most decisions in the market aren't rational, right? They're emotional. But it's both. It's real people and algos competing against each other. And it's all kinds of algos, too. There's algos that are designed to take money on a longer term basis. There's algos that are designed to take money on a tick by tick basis. Just like there's real traders out there that are scalping, looking for a quick point here or there, and real traders that are sitting in positions for weeks at a time. Everyone is all competing at the same time all day, every day. That's what makes the market. Good morning, Crypto Mojo. Daniel. It sounds like my mic is going in and out. Thanks for the heads up. Let's jump over and take a look at the NQ. Okay, so same exact thing as the ES. The NQ has excess, needs to balance off that excess. They also left behind a gap on Friday. They have a lot of support, though, between where price currently is and filling that gap. So the gap fill will be down here. They've got all this support in here. So they'd have to work their way through that. I would say breaking 12,436, looking for that gap fill. Until then, I'd expect a slow grind lower. You've, of course, now created a poor low in the NQ, increasing the odds that this is just a push away from the poor low, looking to come back and repair it. Yeah, so once again on the Q, I think if 12,450 breaks, you're heading down to 12,344. Looking to fill that gap. Back to the ES. All right, so we're forming a poor low here on the ES as well. We often get a push away from a poor low, but leaving it behind increases the odds. The market needs to trade lower to repair that poor low. Okay, there is the repair of the poor low. So we now have the initial balance to the downside. We've got value overlapping to lower from Friday. That is neutral to bearish. We've got the initial balance to the downside. That's just slightly bearish. And we've got that giant magnet pulling on price to go fill that gap. Down to 40.74, looking for support there. Scooball says, not much liquidation. There is zero liquidation. And as a matter of fact, they are repairing that taper at the low. Certainly worth making note of. Haven't squeezed those buyers yet. All right, well, things are getting a little bit more tricky here because we didn't really get any downside continuation on the repair of that poor low. They literally just got the 2 ticks of excess, which is all they need to make a good low. They then created good taper which is a sign of the auction coming to an end. And now they're pushing back up. So I still believe the momentum is to the downside here. But with the ticks getting back above the zero line, once again, I would go neutral if we are able to get above the halfback, which is at 41.22. If not, we've still got these downside targets to repair. All right, so if the buyers can push back above the halfback here, it is a sign they have taken control of the market. And that is a when what should happens doesn't. So essentially, repairing that poor low that we had left behind there in the B period, that should have the highest probability was that would lead to a sell-off targeting the fill of this gap. The fact that that didn't happen actually sends us the opposite signal. It sends us a bullish signal that there are buyers waiting to do business up here. All right, so now we're back above the halfback. Let's take a look at the ticks. Still pumping higher. So I am back to neutral here. But honestly, it's a little bit bullish even to see. So if we print the C period, and the C period works its way above the A period high, I will look to go long and for the market to begin one time framing higher. And I'll remain neutral as long as we're bouncing around inside this A period range. But the reason I say that it could be bullish is because remember what I said, right? There's, what happened last week was excess. The market created all this excess. There's two ways to balance off that excess. The market can either pull back with price, or it can do it with time, which means it just pushes up and then rotates sideways at higher prices. That failure right there, that when what should happens doesn't, that just took place, is now a sign that we don't need to repair it with price, that maybe we can repair it with time. So right now I'm flat, I'm neutral, I'm waiting for more information. But if we print the C period and it gets above the A, I will look for a potential trend higher. And otherwise just kind of wait and watch. Assuming now that we're going to find support in here on a pullback. Xavier, you think this most could be a range day? I think it's very possible we have a rotational day today. It would make sense. But at this point, we're just taking it one step at a time, right? The first step was asking the question, how are they going to balance off that excess? With price or with time? That was question number one. The market just gave us a signal. It's probably trying to do it with time, which means it'll either go sideways and we'll get a rotational day today, or we could start a new trend higher. So at this point, there's no real trades to be taken until we print that C period and we get more information. Design knob, let's see what Pappy says. Man, Pappy had his chance. We had that poor low. The ticks were trending low. All the internals were trending lower. It had a chance. And Pappy didn't have what it takes. Nor Auto Trader, good morning to you. Welcome. No, don't count Pappy out yet. Well, I'll start thinking about Pappy again if we break the low. But my assumption is now we've got support in here. If you have not yet, please smash that like button. That little thumbs up really does help out the channel, especially now, since I took a week off. It'll need a little motivation to tell that algorithm to keep sending people my way. So if you wouldn't mind smashing that like, I'd sure appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, keep watching. Keep coming every day. Keep checking it out. Today wasn't a great day because we didn't get much continuation to the downside. But keep checking it out, and if you decide you find value in what I'm discussing here, you might consider joining the brigade. There's a link in the description. Only costs $10 a month. And you get to hang out all day, every day. The ultimate question, do you think in an entire month of 6.5 hours of trading, I could offer you a single idea that might make you $10 or stop you from losing $10? If so, it pays for itself. Johnny, is this the same profile setup as Jim Dalton? Yeah, pretty much. Actually, yeah, almost entirely. I would say the only thing I have that he doesn't is this delta between the bid and the ask on the 30-minute profile. This column here, but other than that, yep, Jim Dalton setup. Okay, so as I discussed earlier, I'm looking for support now inside this node between like 16 and 4104 for continuation to the upside. If that breaks, if the C period low, well, honestly, either way that the C period breaks the initial balance, so if we break the A period high, I would look for continuation to the upside. If we break the B period low, I would look for continuation to the downside. And until it breaks one way or another, I would just look for sideways chop. If I had to guess, it'll be one of those days where like we'll push up, we'll start one time framing higher in the C period, and then immediately get cessation in the D, and then just bounce around. That's what it feels like it'll be to me. But we'll have to take it one step at a time. So which way does the C period break the initial balance? With that, I shall bid you all farewell. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I will be back here for the market open tomorrow morning. And if you are a member of the brigade, head on over to the private stream. We'll see you there. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.